Hi class, this is JilMac. I'm the instructor for the Community College of Vermont and the Windham Regional Career Center, as well as independent consultant for area businesses and one-on-one workshops. Okay, so what we're doing today is we are going over web development, and we're doing Chapter 5. So I want to go into the web textbook link in the left navigation and go out to the downloaded files. We've already downloaded the files in week 2, 1 or 2. But now we're going to go and we're going to look at, no, not 5, but 6. So we're going to look at Chapter 6. Chapter 6 is all about links. So when you look at this, and we're kind of reading it along with our workbook. So we're using the website and we're using the workbook. This tells us to go to page 159. On 159, it is talking about the link to page HTML, because when you unzip the files, there are all these different names and you don't really know what page has what particular name. So let's look at this file, this link to, and we see that there's 2 images here, and there's a link that's going to the Pioneer Valley. As I cursor over this link, in the lower left-hand corner, we're showing where it's going to go. It's going to go to our textbook website, the 8th edition, examples, Chapter 6, Pioneer Valley. So that pioneervalley.html is also a file. But let's look at the link to page. So let's bring up our Notepad++ and bring up the code for link to page. So here we are. We don't have any CSS in this one. In the header we have the title, creating, and you can see that title, creating a link, is right here. So that's working properly. In the body, so in our body tag, we have an H1 which says Cookie and Woody. So here we have a nice large H1, Cookie and Woody. And then we have 2 images. These images are in a subdirectory called IMG. And if you look in the folder where we unzipped it to, here we have in Chapter 6, we have this image directory and a media directory. If we look in the image directory, we see that we're going to have 3 different images, Cookie and Woody and Blue Flags. But notice how Cookie and Woody are different kind of sizes. If I right click on this and I go into properties, we see that the details of this are 143 by 131. And if we look at the properties for Woody in the details, we have dimensions 202, so it's wider, but they're the same height. So they will look okay on there. Let's go back to our HTML code. And here we're telling it what we want the width to be and what we want the height to be. Oops. So we're telling it that we want the widths to be different, but the height to be the same. And that happens to be what, I believe, what the images are. And then we have an alt tag. And we have our paragraph, which we see our paragraph here. And we have our link to our paragraph. So our link to our paragraph, let's just pull this up. A lot of times I like to put an ahref on a separate line, because these carriage returns don't mean anything. They don't mean anything. You have to have a break or an end of a paragraph to put some spaces in. So here it tells us what file it's going to go get and what the link name is going to be that's going to appear. So let's pull this down a little bit and we can see them side by side. And our link is over here. I think I'll make this narrower. So sometimes you have to kind of move your images around on the page so that you can see things clearly. And don't be afraid to do that. So this is all we see to that link. As we cursor over it, though, we do see where it's going. It's going into this same directory, Pioneer Valley. And that's the file that it's going to pull up. But we didn't need to put any of that here. We didn't need to put the whole link because we're already in the directory and we're just telling it pull up this file now. Versus the next one we're going to look at. So now let's go back. And let's link to a page on another site. So if we link to a page on another site, here, I'm going to bring up that code. We have cats. Our first link is cats. So here in our first paragraph, we have an ahref. And we're going to tell it that it's relative to an external link. We give it our title. And then we tell it cats, and we give it the ending ahref, which we could put out here if we wanted to, just to kind of look at that. So here we're telling it that this is an external link, and we're giving it the whole link. We're giving it the whole URL that it's going out to, an external link, and we're telling it go out, open a whole new website. Versus when we were looking at linking, here we were just linking to a file within our directory. So this is a relative link, and this is an external link. When we come down to their own music, down here, we have an ahref, which is a hypertext reference. It's telling us that it's relative to an external link and what the title is. And then this is the link, their own music. And we close that ahref. Kind of, it was inspired by. So when you look at the whole reference, you can see that this is going out to another link on another website. And you can see that by just cursoring over it, and you're going to see that it no longer is going out to our class webpage. It's going out to Cats the Musical. When we click on link to another page, link to this same page, when we cursor over it, we can see that it's still going out to the HTML, CSS, VQS.com. So this is our textbook site. So it's not going out to another site. So that's the difference between a relative link. This is one that's wherever we are, whatever subdirectory we're in, we're just going to go out to Pioneer Valley HTML. So if we looked at this, we would just go out to Pioneer Valley HTML. Same thing. But if we look at our external link, Chapter 6, link to another site, when we go out to cats, it's going out to Wikipedia. So when we click on that, that's going out to Wikipedia. And when we look at our code, link to another page, it's going out to Wikipedia. So we could just click this link, but we would have to overwrite the entire thing to go out to cat on Wikipedia. So one is relative and one is external. Okay. Our third one is a block level. And a block level is telling us that we can put paragraphs. Let's move this so it's side by side. we can put paragraph tags within an ahref so that it doesn't matter which one we click. They're both going to go out to Giraffe Escapes. But it's just all within both of these paragraphs. Whatever they said would both go to the same link. So that's what that block level is. Now, the next one is creating anchors. So when we look at anchor links.html, an anchor link, and to really see it, I'm going to make this page short. Suppose all we had was this like table of contents. If I click over the first one, it's going to go to this same page. You can see it if it's out here. You can see this one, this first one, only went to here. And the second link, Ken Visitor's Bookmark, is only going to go to there. It's going to go to a link inside this web page. You see it a little bit more here, where if I wanted to, my anchor is going to go down to my anchor. And if I click it, now you can see that my anchor comes up, but it's totally dependent on how long the page is. If I did it this way, then this would come to the very top of the page. But if it was long, and I click this last one, how do I link? It's going to come up, how do I link? But this is going to be at the bottom. If I cursored up shorter and went to how do I link, this would almost be to the top. So you got to play around with that a little bit and change your window size to really see it. Okay, so how did they create that code? Let's go to our editor and open the file that goes out to anchor links. So here's our anchor links, and we have that in here. So here we're creating, we've got our header information, and in our header is, now this is the header in the body. We're in the body, not this header, but the header in the body, and we're putting the navigation up in the header. So here's our navigation. And what it's doing is it's going to the pound, where it's going to a location on this page, and it's going to question 1. When we look down at question 1, we've now given it an ID, and the ID is question 1. So that's going to allow us, when we click this link, to go right to here to question 1. When we click this second link, it's going to go down to question 2. And that's how we're making these hypertext links to spaces in this same HTML file. So when I click Ken Visitors, that comes up first. So you're sort of like making a table of contents up at the top. And that's what's called an anchor link. It's an anchor within the page. You're going to see that on a lot of the mobile websites, that they're really nothing more than this great big long page. So rather than individual pages, you've got one big long page, and you're linking to different locations in that page, and that ID tag is giving you the ability to go to a particular location that you write up. So that's what's going on in anchor links. So let's go back and look at the last example. In Chapter 6. And that last example is other kinds of links. So in this one, we have several different kinds of links where you can go to a photo, link just to the photo, or you can do other things. So here we can listen to the tickling of the ivories, and it's going to bring up this MP3 player. Or we could watch a video. So these two things, how do they come up? So this is called other kinds of links. So let's open that up. Other kinds of links. And here's what the code to other kinds of links is. Now we're starting to get, in this example, we have some styling. And that styling is giving us an H2. And it's telling us how big the H3 should be and what note is. But when we get down into the article, when I see images, we have, this is an H2, here we have an H1. And then we have the div class note. So the note is going to, when we're up here in note, it's going to give it a different background color, and it's going to give it some padding around that color. So when we're down in this note, this note, we've got a div class, and here we have the background color, and we have a little, what we call padding around it. Now, in order to listen to the ivories under other assets, I guess I'm going to have to make this shorter. Sorry about that. I think I'll make it a little bit shorter than that. So here under other assets, we have an ahref, we have a hypertext reference, but this time it's to the media piano MP3. Now, media is a subdirectory, and piano MP3 is the file that you're going to listen to. So when we go to our directory to look at it, in our directory to look at it, we have a media folder. And in that media folder, we have the piano, and the piano, well, it doesn't really say here. It isn't an MP3, but you can tell it's an MP3 by that small icon. And paddle streamer happens to be a video. So that's the way this is showing up. So you have to be really careful that in order to make this work so that you can click on this listening to it and it opens this MP3 player, you have to have FTP'd up those folders. The folder media, and within that folder there needs to be the files so that you can run them. So those are just some hints. I mean, if you get it, if you upload it and you look at it and you click on this and nothing happens, it's probably because you haven't uploaded this media file. If you don't get the image, then it's probably because you don't have that image in your image directory, that you haven't FTP'd it up. So enjoy Chapter 6, and we'll see you in the next video.